Why do I bother? Why do I bother? All right. Let me see. Angle. Good. Let me fix this one. Sorry. Hang on. I'm going to fix something.
Jesus Christ.
Shut up.
Fucking amateurs.
Shut up. It's like peeing. You can't talk to me. It'll make it go back. It stings. Shit.
Keep it in the podcast.
Yep, that's in. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today it's like episode 1 all over again for the 100th time with my friend Tojo. Tojo, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Tojo Sans Goon.
Sans Goon, yeah. You know, we got to make that happen. That Tojo and the Goon thing, like that was a episode 50 kind of thing, and at least 2 months have passed since episode 50. So
I'm gonna blame the Goon on that one.
You know, he is a slacker.
Yeah,
I don't. You know,
so lazy.
Anyway, but thanks for doing this, man. It's kind of short notice. 4th of July is around the corner, and I want to make sure that we get a drop on Wednesday of next week.
Yep.
So thank you for doing this again. So we're fresh off a training session over at Aries, Arizona.
Yep.
45 minutes of rolling.
Fuck yeah.
What the fuck were they thinking? 45 minutes of rolling.
What are you, soft?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
I freaking love it. We're getting through warm-ups and all that. I'm like, all right, that's the 45-minute mark. Let's start rolling.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with it's really like there weren't like 100 people on the mat, but nobody sat out tonight.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Well, it's because we consistently do the 40. Well, we try to consistently get at least a half an hour, but it's typically 45 minutes every night. Yeah. Especially Tuesday, Thursdays. That's when we typically have people from our the other schools come in. Like Nick Na comes in, you come in, Kray comes in. Yeah. We get a lot of the visitors on those days, so we try to let's have some fun. Yeah. No, I love it, man. I think I got to figure out how to incorporate that at least one day a week because we'll do about 25 minutes, maybe 30 tops, but never like the 45. That is a gut check. Yeah. Because we're doing 6-minute rounds for 45 minutes. And man, I was pretty well exhausted by the end. I think it's, I kind of play with this idea a lot in my head about the 45 minutes of rolls versus 45 minutes of say drills or technique or whatever. And I think different people in the different part of their either what they're training for or maybe even how long they've trained for, it's more important to do one or the other. Yeah. Especially right now building up for a tournament. Yeah. I'm I just want the rolls. Yeah. I'm really big on drilling, but man, once you get a taste of those rounds, I think you want to come back for more. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. I like to use it for mental training. Yeah. Because I was telling the class a couple of weeks ago about people sitting out and stuff, and every single time I sit out in a class, because I'm oh man, that round was fucking tough. Yeah. I'm gonna sit out the next one. About 30 seconds into the next round, I'm fucking fresh and ready to go, and everyone's fucking rolling, and I'm I should have just picked somebody. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just shutting up that inner bitch, Yeah. Before class, right after a hard round, you're oh, I'm going to sit this one out. No, don't fucking do it.
Yeah. You know what I think about a lot, especially I love having a chance to just be a student. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of responsibility, and I'm not saying it weighs on me. Don't get me wrong. I love it, man. I love my job. I love what I do. I love the academy. Everything's freaking awesome. Yeah. But sometimes it's just cool to not have responsibilities, man. I just show up, I blend in, and it's like my old team, And, I always think about the guys that aren't there anymore. Yeah. The guys that were just flat out better than me. Yeah. Flat out better. And, man, think about what the team would be if those guys would have stuck around, 10 years ago. Remember that team 10 years ago?
Yeah, when we were all we were doing the sprints every day. We were really trying to get in shape for tournaments and competing.
Yeah, we were all stupid,
very stupid.
but it was healthy, friendly competition and a lot of fat shaming. Yep, and a lot of fat shaming. but that was man, I miss a lot of those guys. Yeah, I can name a few off the top of my head. I'm not going to put them on blast, but man, there were some guys that we had. They won pans at white belt and blue belt. They were just flat out better.
Kevin Terrell.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it out loud. He probably doesn't listen to the show anyway. I'm like, sorry. I'm feeling sorry for myself. Kevin, you should listen to this fucking show.
No, there's a lot of people who just like, at one point in time put in the fucking work and were when like as a white belt or a blue belt, they were like where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then disappeared.
Dude, the minute you replace jiu-jitsu with something else, that's kind of the end game, right? It's really hard to come back, especially when you were Superman.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're coming back and you're...
Or even just like injuries, man. Coming back from an injury is fucking rough.
Yeah.
Because not only like are you not in shape anymore, you're also like afraid to like push it, because you don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah, because you had that MCL.
LCL, yeah.
LCL.
Yeah.
And you had to have, serious surgery. It kept you out for a while. And then you came back. And, dude, I'm telling you, man, you were, I make fun of you a lot because you're short and fat, but you're not fat anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was watching you roll the other night. I was impressed, dude. I got to say, I was impressed. I didn't see it tonight because I was too busy getting my ass handed to me. But yeah, man, you're doing good after that injury, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially the past month, I've been working with Tiffany with like, getting my nutrition. And, if for nothing else, it's just like, it's nice to have someone to like keep me accountable.
Yeah.
Because she's always like, what'd you weigh this morning?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And if it like goes up, she's like, what'd you eat?
Yeah.
What extra, she's always like checking in and making sure like, if I cheated it, she wants to know. And I don't want to lie to her. So, I always tell her like, yeah, I had a little extra last night.
Yeah. And there's no reason to lie to her.
Yeah.
I mean, she can always like put the brakes on and help you out and get you back on track. So yeah, that's what a good coach does. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what she does is like mental. She helps you with like mentally, right?
Yep.
Speaking of which, like I'm struggling with that myself because I've got more responsibility now than I ever have. I mean, even when I was like, I had, the academy, a full-time job, all that stuff, a day job. I'm living with this. I don't want to call it fear because I refuse to live in fear, but it's on my mind. Yeah. If I sustain an injury, it could get really bad. Yep. So I got to be very careful who I roll with.
Yeah.
And
we were talking about it last night. It was like, I mean, when I first, tore my LCL, it's like I was teaching the fundamentals at Paul's in the evening, and I'm like, there's no way I can teach. Like,
no,
I have to have surgery. I'm going to be in a freaking knee brace for a couple weeks, and then I'm basically limping. I mean, we're not supposed to limp when we get that,
right?
But you're not rolling.
Yeah.
And I always remember thinking, I was like, it's a good thing I'm not the head coach because what the hell would we do? I'd have to have like permanent, like semi-permanent, like substitute teachers, basically.
Right. Yeah, and I think I've got enough people on my side that we can make it work.
Yeah.
But it's just not the same.
Yeah.
The team will suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you about something that's come up and it's been a really good thing.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to be a kids coach again. Mm-hmm. Dude, I forgot how much fun that is.
I know you like working with the kids.
It's so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I don't have the patience for it, but I remember you teach. I mean, little Luis was rolling with me this morning, and he's like, I don't remember where I learned this from. I was like, probably that asshole.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Today I taught the kids no-gi class, and I have a lot of help. I had Sierra was on the mat, Skylar was on the mat, Amy was on the mat. So it was like I had a really good help, like really high level help, I would call it, right? Yeah. And that energy that they brought, those kids brought was amazing. And there was this little kid he is tough to deal with.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids, like when he is in trouble, he knows it, so he ignores you. Yeah, that kid, right? And he came up to me today. He's little bitty, dude. So I have a really hard time being the adult. You know what I mean? Someone else has to do it. So, but he came up to me and he's like, I'm so sorry. What did he say? I was disrespectful last week. And I was like, that's okay, buddy. Thank you for saying that. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I've never had a kid that young come up and be that respectful. I thought
were his parents there? Maybe they.
Yeah, they, I'm sure the parent had something to do with it, but it takes a lot of courage for someone that young to, I mean, he might be 5, and,
but it's good to teach kids that too. Like
100%.
And I think you probably agree as like a kid's coach, it's like, that's part of your job.
Yes.
Not just jiu-jitsu.
The jiu-jitsu is like secondary. Yeah. Like you want to teach them to be good people, right? And that's not entirely my job,
Which
right?
is like part of it about building, good sportsmanship and like all of that kind of shit that goes into that. Like, obviously you want them to be good technical athletes, but you also don't want them to be that like, oh, fuck that kid, he's an asshole. You know, you don't want that kid representing your school.
Right. And you know, there's a lot to that, what you just said, because when you've got a kid that's a little bit of a hothead, right? You don't want to pull the reins too hard, right? Because you don't want to break their spirit. But you do have to get them to understand that they've got to have self-control. And there are some kids that I don't want to say pick on, but I'll be a little bit tougher on, because I want them, I want to see how far, I don't want to see how far I can push it, but I want to make sure that when it comes down to maintaining control, I want to make sure I know what that limit is. Yeah. Because the last thing I want is for them to lose in a tournament, right? And this is like a stupid, to me, this is a stupid example, because there's bigger things than tournaments. Right. But I don't want them to lose a tournament because of a bad call and then yell at the referee in front of everybody.
Have you seen that video where it's like a wrestling match and like the kid loses and he, like when they go to shake hands, he just hits the kid?
Dude, yes. Yeah. If that was my kid, he'd be in the trunk of a car. it would not end well for that kid.
Yeah.
But okay, so an example of that was this past weekend. One of my kids beat a kid, and the kid was yelling at the ref first, because and the ref, that particular referee made some mistakes. Okay, but he's a referee. No, but he's a referee at a kids tournament. It's fucking chaotic, right? Yeah. And both kids were moving so much. I lost track of who was where. You know what I mean? So he may have missed a call. I don't know. Yeah. I was too busy coaching. But the kid's yelling at the ref, like after the match, like unacceptably yelling at the ref.
Yeah.
Right?
It's fucking over.
Yeah. And then his coach is talking to him off the mat. And he's not yelling at his coach, but he's not exactly being respectful. And then somebody else came over and kind of patted him on the shoulder and said blah, 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 like pointed at the ref, like he missed something. And the kid kind of like waved his arm like that at him. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. And then he's yelling at people in the bullpen. I was like, man, I just don't know. I don't know what I would do. I don't know.
As a coach, I would probably be like, if he has another round, I'd be like, you're forfeiting.
Yeah, you're not. I can't. I would not. I don't know that I would. I don't have all the answers.
It needs to be a life lesson. And like, if a kid thinks like he can act like that, like or anybody, like if you have an adult athlete acting like that, I mean, they're an adult. I mean, I guess you can't tell them they can't compete, but
well, you can tell them they can't represent your school.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and like, I'm not going to coach you if you're going to act like that.
Yeah. So
that's unacceptable.
I don't know what the right answer is, because that's a tough one. Because I'm not the parent, right? But I'm also not in the person's life, right? I am their coach, and I think that for long-term benefit of the kid, you got to bench him for a while.
No, I agree.
He's got to feel some pain, right? And I wouldn't come down on him too hard. I like to come from a place where like there's got to be something else going on.
Sure.
And I want to know what that is. Like, hey, what's going on? There's got to be something else.
But some kids just never learn to deal with adversity like that. Yeah. Like losing, or sometimes you deal with a ref that doesn't make a fair call, and not even like intentionally. Like like you said, he made a mistake. Maybe it's like he did. Maybe that ref made a mistake, but the match is over. Yelling at him is not going to fix it.
It's not going to change anything.
The only time that happens, that fixes something, is if you're Brazilian and you're at the Brazilian Nationals. Liz will agree.
That's so funny. But I had a referee come up to me after one of the matches. He stopped it on a Kimura. Yeah. It wasn't a good Kimura, but the hand was on the back. Okay. So the kid, it was weird, man. It was wild. So the kid grabs his belt, and as the kid cranks, the belt slipped, so the hand did go to the back. Yeah. Stop the match, whatever. And then my student just looked at me, and he's like this, and I'm like, I just kind of put my hands up, and I said, nothing you can do. And then the ref comes up to me, and he's like, he goes, yeah, the hand was to the back. I was like, bro, you're the boss. Yeah. Like, I'm not in your shoes.
The rules with kids, I 100% agree with, because I don't think the kids are mature enough, emotionally mature enough to be given the responsibility to tap.
100%. Yeah.
Because they won't.
Yep.
They'll let themselves get hurt, and then that's a big liability for the organization.
Yeah.
No, 100%. A kid arm goes straight, tap. That's a tap. I don't care if he taps or not.
Yeah.
I'm stopping it as a ref.
When it comes to athlete safety, it's all about living to fight another day.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially under 18, the kids. Like,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You can be mad at me all you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you remember what year was it? Like maybe 2016, 2017, ADCC, Gary Tonin and Cron Gracie, where Cron had Gary in the sickest armbar, the straightest armbar. It was like freaking so extended, hyper extended, and he got out of it and won the match.
Yep.
You can't allow kids to do that. No. You can't allow kids to fight out of that.
There's more liability when it comes to underage kids.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about an adult, he's an adult. He signed the waiver.
What does Espen say? We all have a choice.
Yeah. We all have a fucking choice. Like Jarrell this weekend was rolling with Mark Wilson.
Yep.
Mark Wilson knew he was in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And he let his ankle get broken.
Yeah. Didn't he look up at the clock or something to see if he could wait it out or something like that?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
I wasn't either.
All I know is that Jarrell slapped on that toe hold and he's either you're gonna tap or I'm gonna break it.
Yeah.
And Mark held on. Like you know, he's trying to tough it out. You know, good for you. Good for you, dude. But you know, he's an adult and he has the choice to either tap or let him break it. You know, and it broke.
Yeah. What did you think about the Grand Prix style open class they had for the black belts?
It's fucking sick.
Fucking sick, dude. Right? Marcio Andre put on a clinic, dude. It was so good. It was so good.
Very impressive.
The match with Danilo was like really impressive, and
well, because Danilo is world class.
Yeah, and
Marcio submitted Danilo, and I would say pretty handily. Like he got there quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say that he outclassed Danilo. Like it was just a mistake. I think it was a mistake.
I wouldn't say that, but Marcio has the benefit of a decade of competing.
Mm-hmm.
He is on the far end of his competitive prime, but he can still pull it off, dude. You know,
he won Pans, right?
Yeah. So it reminds me of
featherweight.
Yeah. How does that guy make?
What did he weigh in? I think it was 81.
Crazy, dude. Yeah, crazy. But so it reminds me of like when linebackers get old in the NFL, but they can still play because they could see the whole field.
Yeah,
they know exactly where the play's going. I think that he's in that league, right?
Marcio has so much. His jiu-jitsu IQ is just next level.
Yeah.
And like it's funny because it's an in-state Arizona tournament.
Yeah,
but like. Anybody like from any state, any country could have like watched that tournament and like could have taken notes.
Yeah, that bracket was really good
because what it really showed, it was like there's fucking levels to black belt, adult black belt.
Yeah,
you know,
and those guys coming off the adult worlds are probably not in great shape now, but they were very. I mean. It was impressive, man, because I think when it comes to worlds, I think they peak at that point.
I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah, if you're smart, you're going to peak for that tournament, and then everything else kind of gravy. You know what I mean? If you got to score points, whatever. I mean, you're really shutting it down so that you can ramp it back up for no-gi season.
Yeah.
Right? So it was fun to watch, dude.
It was really impressive. Him against Narat was very, very impressive.
And it was so technical.
Yeah, because Narat's got, 50 pounds on him?
Yeah. But he doesn't
maybe not now. Maybe more like 25,
yeah,
pounds.
25. Yeah, maybe 30.
Yeah,
right?
But he's significantly bigger.
Yeah.
And
he's built like a superhero.
It's just like, and you see those that points momentum thing. Like, you start scoring, and then it just cascades.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And then it just kind of falls apart from there. We've all been there. Like, people just start scoring on you, and then you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Rat, which he's a good athlete.
He's a great athlete.
But fuck, man, Marcio, when he gets that momentum going, it's hard to stop that freight train. Like.
Yeah. I remember when I was studying guard passing, the first time I saw Marcio's videos is, I don't know, early. I mean, maybe 2015, 2016.
Kind of like right when he came to Arizona?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Whatever that time was.
And I was studying different people, and then he popped up on YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the actual F, dude? I was hooked, man, on his guard pass. It's so good. It's so good. And I talked to people who trained under him, and he's a doctor, man. He's a doctorate
like
level.
Josh, Aaron.
Yeah.
Like they would all like, they're like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
he's a different animal.
Yeah. And I think it was Aaron that said, like, if you resist too much, you're going to pay the price.
Man, some of those guys, like Edris is like that.
Yeah.
Like Edris is a smaller guy, right? He's like, he usually plays featherweight, lightweight. But like, I remember like, you know, I often like with even rolling with other black belts, like, you know, you kind of let yourself get into a bad position because you want to learn to work out of that, especially at a higher level.
Yeah.
Right. Man, I was in an armbar and I was like trying to play like the whole like, ooh, I'm going to get out of it. And he just fucking knees together, hips up. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know, and he just was like, if you want to play this game, we're going to play this game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, it's a good lesson.
It is a good lesson that I don't want to learn. I'll just tap. As soon as my arm gets extended, I start tapping.
I didn't get hurt, but I was just like, that could have got hurt.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to be stupid sometimes. It's fun to be stupid.
Oh, shit, man. Let's talk about New Orleans.
I'm pretty fucking stoked for that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell me about your bracket.
So there's just two guys there. I don't know either of the guys.
Okay.
I you know, I kind of go by like Paul's kind of like school of thought on that. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Do you train with, you know, Marcelo? Do you train with, you know, at AOJ? I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to affect me? Like, I'm going to go out there and play my best game. And if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. Like, looking that guy up isn't going to help me.
Yeah, I think I like what I really like about this tournament for you is it got you. I don't know where your head was at, but I know you were having trouble with your weight. You're having trouble training. I don't know about motivation. You're always motivated, but this really got you dialed in weight wise. And man, you're looking really good, man. I'm impressed. You're going to do well.
I haven't competed at featherweight since I want to say either early purple belt or blue belt.
Wow. Okay.
Because like right when I got my purple belt, it was kind of like I remember the first tournament that I wanted to do at purple belt, there was no one at featherweight, so I just did lightweight. So and I remember that tournament I weighed in at featherweight weight.
Yeah.
And then from then on, it was just like I couldn't get people at featherweight for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know, at Masters 1 purple belt at the time.
Oh, so you were just going up to light?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at that point,
were you weighing at the 68 or were you still weighing feather?
The first time I was at feather.
Yeah.
And the second time it was like, okay, I'll just be 160 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, well, why bother cutting or whatever? So then, and then it just kind of like became, that's my weight. And then I think that's when around the time I got my brown belt, COVID hit.
Yeah.
Remember how much time we spent drinking?
A lot.
We drank a little too much during COVID.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cause COVID hit so I got my brown belt the October of 19, and then March, going into competition season of the next year, which I was like, my goal was like brown belt was like I was gonna fucking hit it, and then COVID hit, and I'm like, well, guess I'm not.
COVID, I was a brown belt as well, I believe, but no, I wasn't. I just got my black belt. Yeah. So COVID hits. And we had just gotten back from, because I did my second tournament at black belt was Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So I had Phoenix Open, I had 2 super fights, and then Atlanta. And then we were getting ready for Pans. Mm-hmm. And that was like the first year where I was like on weight like 2 weeks before. And then they shut it all down. Mm-hmm. Yep. We rolled a lot, though. Yeah, we did drink a lot. I'll give you that.
I mean,
but we rolled a lot.
And when we were drinking and then ordering pizzas, and like we were eating like shit, drinking all the time.
I'd like to blame Vic for that.
Yeah, it's definitely Vic's fault.
Yeah, it's Vic's fault because he started at that point. He was really messing with that smoker that he has, and he was making all kinds of food. And then we would go eat, or he would eat here. And then we'd end up drinking all night and be like, oh, let's order a pizza. Yeah, sounds a great idea. And they shut down the gyms, but they kept.
And we had this awful idea of starting a school for you.
Yes, we did. We did.
That was October of 2020, right?
No. We opened our doors August 15, 2020.
Was it August?
It was August. I know. Yeah, I was there.
I don't think you know that.
No, it was August 15th.
I'll ask Amy.
Yeah, go ahead. August 15, 2020, we opened our doors, but we incorporated in March of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember like we would be drunk like what's the logo going to look like? Remember you had the whiteboard in your backyard?
Brought the whiteboard out, and then we're talking about shirts and
all drunk.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we just rebranded, so that's exciting.
Your new logo's dope.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited.
It's clean.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like, so I look back at like that. So Paul has that original logo, right? It's the circle with the knob with the turtle in the middle of it. That classic logo. That logo's dope.
It's great.
One of my favorites. And then we did that new logo that has the big N in the middle of it.
That was cool.
I don't know. I designed that one. Every time I look, like at the time, I was like, oh yeah, I liked it. But every time I look back at it now, I'm just like, oh, I hate that logo. I fucking hate it.
Yeah. I wish you'd just go back to the turtle. I think the turtle was the one.
Honestly, the one now, I think, as far as like modern branding goes, I think is perfect.
Yeah, it's very clean.
It's clean.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your new logo.
Yeah.
Is it's fucking clean.
So I talked to a guy his name's Keith Evans. He's a graphic designer. And he's one of my students. And it was just rando.
Did he talk you out of the fucking mission statement you had at the bottom of it?
No, I actually, sorta. So he just said he wants,
less is more.
When you go to embroider, it's really difficult to do that.
I'm glad he just made up that reason, but yeah, less is more in a logo.
I just, man, it's a vision statement, by the way. Anyway, but it was just like a rando thing. I'm sitting at the front desk because I think it was a Wednesday, right? And he came in, he checked in, and we just started talking because he's right in front of me. And he said something about work, and I was like, oh, what do you do? And he says, oh, I'm a graphic designer. And I said, oh, I'm looking to rebrand. Can you help me? He's like, absolutely. So I sat down with him. We had a 20-minute meeting.
Yeah.
And I just said, I want it to be shield-like.
Yeah.
Like a shield. And I want it to be...
That classic, like... So in jiu-jitsu, you have two common shapes, right? Mm-hmm. You either have the classic circle...
Yep.
Or the classic triangle.
Right.
Yep. Those are the two like classic shapes. But the reason those shapes are really classic and why they work so well is because they really lend themselves to patches.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
Or labeling shirts or gis or whatever.
Yeah.
When you have a logo like your original logo, the AEM logo which is a good logo, it's just it's an awkward shape.
Yeah, it doesn't lend itself to patches. And we looked at it on the gis and I'm like, oh gosh, no.
Which it's not a bad logo, and I think at the time it's a really good like first logo.
Yeah, and if you look at any real like brand, mm-hmm. I mean they've rebranded several times.
Yeah, and which is totally fine, and
mm-hmm.
and I think it's styles go coming in and out. Mm-hmm. Like who knows what in like 10 years what the cool like logo would look like.
Yeah, and so what the other thing I talked to Keith about, I said I don't want it to be badass. Mm-hmm. I want it to be bold. I want people to see it from across the room and be like, oh, that's an Aries East Mesa guy.
The thing about it is it's timeless. That's what's nice about like Paul's logo now is it's timeless.
Yeah,
it's clean.
Yeah,
right. Anytime you just have like look at the AOJ logo.
Timeless. Yeah.
AOJ.
Yep.
It's really like basic, but it'll always look good.
Yes.
It's never going to look tacky.
Right.
Because it's so simple.
And it strikes fear.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it strikes fear.
That's because of their athletes. but you know what I mean though? Like, that's like a clean logo. Like you have logos. A lot of people like want to have like incorporate too much of their personality into their logo.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's better for t-shirts.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you put too much of your personality into it, that doesn't jive with like, the working class guy versus like the artsy guy, like because that's your student or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you want a logo that speaks to everybody. Clean and concise is what works for everybody because everyone can put their own spin on clean and concise. They can have a clean and concise logo on a shirt with a bunch of fucking like like a zombie on it or whatever it is.
Whatever. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. And and another thing I told him was like I don't want any animals on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just want it to be super clean.
I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, the animals on logos is is tacky.
I don't know about tacky. I think it just like it's you know how you say logos are timeless? Those are frozen in time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, they come and go.
There are exceptions though.
And by the way, I'm drinking out of a Silver Fox cup, so I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, but it's a good logo.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so this is going to be what I'm talking about with the exception. So the exception, like a good example is the IBJJF logo.
Lion,
because the lion it's very very like minimalist.
Yeah,
it's not like a real fucking like roar, you know, like the MGM logo.
Right. Yeah,
it's not like that.
Yeah,
the MGM logo. You look at that thing and you're like, that's a century of movies.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is cool when you're talking about like the legacy of a logo, but when you're talking about modern logos, like it's not timeless because you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's from the fucking 30s.
Yeah.
Right. Or whenever MGM started. But like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Who knows? But like the IBJJF logo has been like simplified down to like, it's kind of like, it's almost as like simple as it could be where you recognize that it's a lion. And
it looks really cool on those little what do you call those? The little badge that they have on the Grand Slam medals. It looks fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it looks dope. Yeah. But and it's not like so style like. All right, I'm gonna throw a Fight to Win under the bus a little bit here. The new like when they like do their like flyers and they have like the muscular man with the lion head and like
I haven't seen those.
Oh, like it's because you know how they used to put like the headliners' faces on it.
How dare you?
Yeah,
how dare you?
And now it's
Seth,
like
I want
animals, like just fucking like these GI Joe looking fucking jacked animals. Like
like you said, those are cool. Those are cool for t-shirt drops.
Yeah.
So that would be,
and even for flyers, like they're not awful, but like if you were to make a logo with like some silly like animal like that, it's just it's tacky. In my opinion, it's tacky.
I do like the F2W, the Fight to Win.
Oh no,
their logo's cool.
Their logo's good, and it's fine, right? I think it could be minimalized a little bit more.
Yeah.
To make it more, but I mean, again, that's not Seth. You know, Seth's ostentatious, which is that's his style, man. And I like it, and it suits the organization because that's what he's going for, right?
Yeah.
But like, like as far as like as a school logo or any logo in general, like you don't want to have like something that like only like fits that niche for some people and not other people. You want something that's going to be everyone's going to be proud to wear that logo.
Yeah.
You know, if you have something fucking like really silly, like a fucking orangutan, like humping a fucking barbell, you're like, cool logo.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like something like just simple, like letters and initials, like your stylized AEM in the middle. And then, Aries East Mesa, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu underneath and circle. It's clean.
Yeah, it looks so good.
Works.
It looks so good. Keith, you did a great job. I don't know if you listen to the show, but thank you, man.
No, yeah, the new logo. I mean, honestly, like the 3 examples you showed me, they were all good graphic design.
Yeah,
logo design.
Yeah.
Some are better than others. I don't agree with your friend saying that there was Nazi feels on that one.
Oh, with the red hashes on the end.
Yeah,
I thought, but as soon as he said that, I was like, hey, we can't go with that one.
Just because one person?
Yeah, I just can't. I just can't. But I do love, I think Vic, so the circle on the outside with the red hash at the bottom was thinner. And Vic said, hey, make that thicker. I think he was right. He was right on with that. And
well, the thing about that is like it's more like a black belt. You don't have 2 bars.
Right.
You have 1 bar. You have 1 red bar.
Yeah.
Right? There's no. It's kind of doesn't quite make as much sense with the 2. Like how that other one had it, but it looks dope. And and for those who don't know, you'll find out soon enough. Like,
so it's so funny, man, because like, you know, I had on my to-do list, like release the rebrand, and I did. And as soon as I did, people were like, when are the shirts coming in? That takes a little time.
Dude, that logo's dope.
Yeah, it takes a little time. But I did order stickers. They'll be in July 7th. So I'll have those in the Academy soon. Next week.
This week when this
drops. Yeah, the end of the week when this drops.
Yeah.
But I've been working with a company that Aries is partnered with. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but I guess Breakpoint. But Breakpoint is doing a great job of being like the go-to for like shirts and stuff because they're allowing you to like order 2. Like,
yeah, you have like a kind of like a membership, right? And then you're allowed to have whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? How much is the monthly charge on that, or is it annual?
It's like $50 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, but we get our own sales rep, and I think I have Ronaldo. Ronaldo's my sales guy, and he's fantastic, dude. Like he answers like first ring, and what do you need? You know, it's always like, send me this, no problem. You know, that kind of shit.
So you get your money's worth in that case.
I'm very happy with them.
Yeah,
I am. But, you know, that's not to say that I wouldn't look elsewhere. The other partnership that I have is Roll Union, one of my sponsors. They're fantastic.
Who?
Yeah, shut up. Paul Manganaro, he's local here to Arizona.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some collaboration with Geese and Rash Guards.
Yeah, I mean, he's becoming ubiquitous with like, you know, Arizona Jiu-Jitsu, which is really good for him, good for his brand, and because there's a lot of fucking good athletes in Arizona.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people starting to wear his stuff. You know, and hopefully, I just love helping local guys, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a brand.
We're really lucky in Arizona because we have two really good companies that are based out of Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Control
companies. Control and Roll Union are both just great quality gis.
Yeah.
And they come right out of Arizona.
Yeah. It's
well, they come right out of Pakistan.
But you know, the designs are in Arizona, and that's really what counts, man. You know, I love what Control does.
You should get Blaine on.
You know, if Blaine listens to the show, Blaine, hit me up, dude. I'll reach out to him. I would love to get him on.
Yeah.
But I really love the design. I love when people kind of go away from the norm. You know what I mean? Because like Show Your Roll goes like crazy with some designs, and then they'll drop something that's like so subtle that you're like, oh my God, brilliant, right? Control does the same thing. Control does like some wild stuff. I mean, I don't know how much pot they're smoking when they're designing this, but keep doing it because it's working. And
I mean, how many people in Arizona have that Arizona Control, that Copper State gi?
Yeah.
Everyone loves that
Everyone loves that gi.
That gi is a fucking hit. They have it in white, navy, and black. It is fucking dope. I have all three. It is a cool gi.
Yeah. And the Roll Union, I love the way they break in. Yeah. They're so freaking, the fit is like, is dead on, and he dropped a Memorial Day like pre-order.
Yeah,
I can't wait till it comes in.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
Unfortunately, the Roll Union gis don't. Well, they fit me out of the box, but like I'm a dryer guy.
Oh
yeah, I'm one of those savages.
Why?
Because I just like I don't like waiting. I don't like hanging my shit. Control gis.
How many fucking gis do you have?
I don't know, like 6 or 7.
Hang them up. That's crazy.
No.
You're gonna ruin your gis.
I don't care.
Ugh.
Yeah. I like throwing a gi in the fucking dryer.
Yeah. Whatever.
So the Control gis fit me perfectly because they're like a little long when I buy them fresh. Toss them in the dryer. They're fucking perfect.
Nice. Okay.
So I don't have to wait for them.
Yeah, Samir does that too. I think it might be a little guy gi because Samir does that too. When he comes to town and I wash his stuff here, he's like, "Yeah, just throw it in the dryer." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, it's fine."
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, but I mean.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Bad ears think alike.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he was there this weekend. Samir had a long freaking day, man. I think he flew in on Saturday and flew out that evening.
That guy puts in work.
Yeah.
Which is always like, or not always, but like when I realized who Samir was and I realized that he was coming to Arizona just to fucking run the reffing staff.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what are you doing here? Like,
yeah, he takes that very seriously.
He does, which is really fucking like, you know, admirable.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like, he lives in California. He's a fucking like, he's a world-class athlete.
World-class athlete, owns a business.
Yeah.
Is also into real estate, is also into crypto. Like he's into a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And he still comes in, still trains referees. Still does his thing, man. It's really
he's
cool.
a fucking savage.
He's a savage, man. He's the heaviest 140 pounder I've ever fucking rolled with. We rolled once, and I told him, it's so funny because he was getting ready for. I think he was at the time he was getting ready for a super fight like in Russia or something. So he was like slim, dude. He was small, and anyway, he beats the crap out of me. And at the end of the round, I just said, I swear to you, I was training also. It may not seem like it, but I swear I was training also.
It's like you felt like one of those, those like the little dummies.
Yeah. The ones that just sit like this.
Yeah, and they just like move their arms wherever you want them.
Yeah, it was pretty much how the round went.
Every time I give that guy a hug, I'm just like, fuck, I am fat. Even like right now, like when I'm like really lean, it's like he is just like, you hug him and there's no squish.
There's no squish, dude. He is always, I don't know. That's like the martial artist in him, right? I mean, he's always ready to go. So
Q's really like that too, but Q will blow up a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like he likes to have fun.
Yeah. I mean,
not to say Samir doesn't, but I mean, Q will let himself go a little bit, but like every time Samir, I shake hands with Samir, I'm like, fuck, this guy. Yeah, man. No, Q has been really good to me. The past month, he kind of heard what was going on, and he's been hitting me up. Yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really cool. I think, it's, when you're going through a tough time, it's funny. You find out who your friends are, and sometimes you're disappointed. You're like, that fucking guy's my friend. God damn it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, he's been really good. Always reaching out, making sure I'm good, and I really appreciate it. That's what's cool about, honestly, like, I remember when we first started in the Aries organization, when Paul first switched over, and Samir and Q, I mean, like, those are names that we've all like kind of grew up like knowing, right? Yeah. And it is just weird to like, now they're approachable. Like you realize that they're just humans. So what I was saying, so it's really cool that like we jumped in the Aries organization. We have these like big names like Q and fucking Samir, like that are like the heads of the organization. Yeah. And like these are names that like I remember fucking watching YouTube videos of like techniques and being like, oh, cool, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. And now they're fucking like
hanging out.
They're our coaches.
Yeah, hanging out.
They're hanging out with us, right? Like, and we're going out drinking after like a big tournament, or like not getting hammered, but like having fun with these guys. Yeah. And it's just like you realize that like like I've never like had like the, what do you call it? Like the starstruckness like that a lot of people get with like different like athletes and stuff like that. But like, it is like cool to like realize that like all of these like world-class jiu-jitsu athletes, and we've talked about this before, are like, they're just dudes, man. Just dudes, right? And they want to have fun too. Like, they want to go put in the fucking work, go get their gold medal, and then let's have fun. Yeah. Right? But like you see them and they're so professional, like when they do like their videos, like for whatever, like, technique videos they're doing, like, when everyone is selling DVDs and all that kind of stuff. But then you meet them in person and they're like, I remember the first time like Samir or Q, like either of those guys like remembered my name, and I was like, yeah. Yeah. Because they're just dudes. They're just like, hey, oh yeah, you're one of the students. You're training hard here, like just like all of the rest of you. We all have the same goal. Yeah. Get better at jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And even they, like, Samir and Q aren't not getting better at jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. All the time.
Right.
All the time.
We all have that one goal in common, and that's what's kind of cool. It's like, we have a new white belt, a newer white belt. Her name's Evie. And she's getting really better at getting better at jiu-jitsu. I rolled with her today when during class, and I was just like, I was like, you're getting better. She's like, yeah, a little bit better. I was like, that's all you want. That's all you want. It's a little bit better every day.
Yeah, you're not going to see leaps and bounds in jiu-jitsu. You're not going to see that. It's going to be slow progress.
Every once in a while, you'll have like that one, like, aha.
Yes, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
So you find that like one thing that like makes a big difference, but like for the most part, it's like 1% or less. Like
that's it. That's all you get. Yeah, motherfuckers.
But it's just,
I hate this shit. Yeah.
It's just cool, like it's not like I said, we talked about this before. Like say like Emmett Smith, like growing up, like the Cowboy running back, right, or whatever. It's like you would
Cardinals.
Well, yeah, eventually. But it's like you would never like you can't. It's not like if you're a football fan, like you could go play with him.
Right. Yeah, you can't.
We can roll with Samir. Yeah. We can roll with Q.
Yeah.
We can roll with Danilo, Liz Clay. We can roll with all of these fucking people who like have the accolades. Yeah. The world-class accolades, and we can roll with them.
Yeah, and that's part of what I'm trying to do with this podcast. Is the cool thing about the history of jiu-jitsu is that it's so recent. Yeah. And a lot of our legends are living. Mm-hmm. And if I could just pick their brain for an hour, I would be so happy, man. Yeah. And I've gotten to talk to a couple of them, a couple of the Dirty Dozen. And but I want to go deeper. Like I want to go to people that were like, came here from Brazil.
It'd be cool if you can get like Marcelo. I know he's dealing with cancer right now.
He's dealing with cancer. I reached out to Carlos Machado and I'm trying to get him on the show.
The cool thing about Arizona is we have a good amount of legends
we
here.
certainly do.
Like Megaton.
Yeah, Mega would be an awesome guest.
Mackenzie Dern would be great.
Yeah.
His daughter, she would be an awesome what do you call it?
Guest
on your
podcast. I think that, our newer students need to realize how lucky we are to be living in this point in the history of jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. Like you and I will never be legends. Right. But we're surrounded by them.
Yeah.
And we can be a part of that, right? We can be a part of that era.
And the one thing that I think a lot of people in the current generation don't understand, that like you and I were in the transition, like you're in like my life generation where like we transitioned from like AOL Instant Messenger to like fucking internet. Yeah. Like that jiu-jitsu is very much like that, where like we started in like kind of like the past and transitioned into like what modern jiu-jitsu is, where like when we started, there was a lot of people who were very much like, you train at my school, if you go somewhere else, fuck off.
Yeah.
Now
that was on the tail end of that, right?
Right. We were on, when we started, it was the tail end of that.
Yeah.
But then it transitioned into like you can go train at like other organizations, schools, and they're like, they welcome you with a hug.
Yeah.
Which is really, for the most part, which is really fucking cool. Right. Yeah. Because we like, especially like with, modern social media and stuff like that, people are sharing information. People are filming every tournament. There isn't a second that you can't of any tournament that you can't find on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, and it used to be like, I could understand that argument back in the day when there wasn't YouTube and there wasn't, you could kind of, your jiu-jitsu, if you were superior, you'd keep
or Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever. There's so many avenues.
Yeah, and your jiu-jitsu at the time, if it was superior, you certainly don't want your students going around teaching other people your stuff. Mm-hmm. And I can understand that. But now it's like everybody puts their stuff on YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no, I don't know. There's no real secret.
Yeah,
right?
and I also think like jiu-jitsu as a community as a whole has kind of, I think in recent time, very recent, like the past handful of years, has become kind of like jiu-jitsu versus the world, where like everyone wants everyone to get better. Yeah. Because the better jiu-jitsu gets, the more irrelevant a lot of the other martial arts gets.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. Right?
Yeah, I think they all have their place, man. I think like when a guy walks through my doors and he says, "Oh, I used to train Muay Thai," or I used to wrestle or stuff like that, that is like, they automatically get, the respect.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know if you're done Muay Thai, but try hitting mitts.
Oh, it's a tough sport.
It's hard.
It's a tough sport.
And that's where I'm coming from. Like, they know hard work.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is hard work. If you truly want to get better, it's really hard work. But it's so gratifying.
You know what jiu-jitsu is, though? It's basically like the mixed martial arts of grappling.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that, yeah.
It's judo, it's wrestling, it's sambo, it's Japanese jiu-jitsu, it's modern jiu-jitsu. Like, there's a lot that goes into like what makes, because Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like especially nowadays, is like getting farther and farther away of like from all of like the rules that kind of limited. Like if you talk to like an old school jiu-jitsu guy, it's like, you don't attack the legs.
Yeah.
That is not how it is. That is not how it is now.
Yeah.
It's like knee bars, heel hooks, toe holds. Yeah. That is all part of modern jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And if you're not, you are behind.
Yeah, I think it's been widely accepted, like you said. Like it's kind of part of the
I was talking to Daniel Weber, and he went back home to his school in Brazil, and he's like, those guys don't play legs.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, is it like a competitive school, or is it like
I don't know.
School?
I don't know the context, but
gotcha.
But he was telling me that, and I was like, that's pretty wild, because like modern jiu-jitsu, it's like if you don't play fucking knee bar, at least like the modern like gi stuff where it's knee bars, toe holds, ankle locks, like the modern leg lock stuff, without heel hooks, obviously. But like if you're not playing that, at least that stuff, you are well behind the curve.
Yeah.
And I remember being like a purple belt, being like, I need to learn knee bars and toe holds right now.
Yeah.
Because I knew brown belt was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like, I don't mind teaching my white and blue belts, basic like knee bar, toe hold, stuff like that. But I think there has to be a lot of instruction on
control.
Control, but I think...
Or restraint. Yeah,
no, understanding the human body.
Yeah.
Like understanding, like, when you attack certain things, it may seem like you're attacking the ankle and foot, but you're really attacking the knee.
Yeah.
And you need to understand that, because if you get caught in that, your foot and your ankle may feel okay, and then your knee goes.
Yeah.
And most people don't know that, right? Because we don't, I mean,
it should always be taught with a caveat, in my opinion. And I like, so, I mean, you have the same thing where you're teaching a strictly mixed levels class.
Yeah.
Like you have white belts in your advanced or mixed levels class, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not the fundamentals class.
Right.
It's like you have white belts in that class. I don't think there's any technique that a white belt shouldn't be taught.
Right. Yeah.
I don't agree with anybody who's like, white belts shouldn't learn knee bars. No.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. No.
Well, the majority of the injuries that I've seen have been wrestling injuries.
Sure.
So, I mean, we could be, I don't know, maybe I think we do, I don't have all the answers, but I think we do a poor job of teaching people how to fall.
Sure.
You know, we teach a basic front roll. We teach like, the break fall, the very basic break fall, but we really don't teach people how to break fall when they've been hip tossed.
Yeah.
Right. I try to teach that stuff, but it's very hard when you don't do a lot of hip tossing. Right. Yeah. I don't do a lot of,
I mean, like neither of us are like judo black belts.
I'm not a judo black belt. No.
Or a judo white belt.
I'm not a judo white. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's an important caveat, because, you know, if you're going to teach anything, if you're going to not teach anything, I would say don't teach wrestling. I hate to say that, but that's where the majority of the injuries come from.
Yeah. I mean, and I talked to Aaron Wilson about this a lot. It's like, if you aren't qualified to teach wrestling, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a lot that you're missing. Like, I can show someone the basics of a double leg, but like, I have no business teaching a class on double leg.
No way.
Right.
Yeah. I've got an amazing wrestling coach, ASU wrestler, you know, got every accolade you can think of.
I have a better one. I'm just kidding.
Do you? I'm not a one-upper, however. No, but he's great. And we're talking about incorporating a kids wrestling program.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's so important. I think kids, above anybody else, I think kids should learn wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that teaches a kid hard work.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, like, kids can deal with the mistakes of learning.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
True. Yeah,
because like there's growing pains.
Yeah.
When you're learning a new thing, right?
Yeah.
And the problem, like you were saying, like most of the injuries come from wrestling, right?
Yeah.
If I teach like the growing pains of a master's athlete, like 30s, 40s, learning to wrestle, they could pop their elbow, pop their knee real fucking easy. Little kid, they're a little more pliable.
Yeah. That's the injury I've seen for the most part in competition, is popping that elbow, because they don't know to break fall and not post. Yeah. You know,
which is like a natural instinct.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're lucky, you'll break your collarbone when you post.
Yeah.
If you're not, your elbow or shoulder will go.
Yeah.
And then you're really screwed for a long time.
And you're getting surgery, and it's going to hurt forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Collarbone is like, that's its job. It's like a fuse, right? It's supposed to break. It really is. It's a fuse.
Totally.
It's supposed to take care of the shoulder.
It's the weak point.
Yeah.
Weak link.
Yeah. But the ones that I've seen are takedown, post the arm, elbow goes.
Yeah. I mean, the earlier you can learn, like, all of the little, I mean, at least wrestling defense.
Yeah. That would be good.
The earliest you can learn that, the better. Like I said, the little kids, they get a lot more buffer because they're so pliable.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best time to learn. I mean, and we always say that, right? What's the best time to start jiu-jitsu? 5 and
right now.
Today.
Yeah.
Right? But like, for real, like, if you want to start jiu-jitsu, it's a much steeper curve the later you wait to start wrestling.
When I was on my back, when I was on my way back from Mexico this last trip, we got stopped. They said, "Oh, you're bringing back any fruits?" We're like, we brought apples.
Just me.
Yeah, we brought apples to Mexico and we didn't eat them, so we're bringing them back anyway. We said that we had apples, and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." So whatever. So they pulled us over and they were checking the trailer and stuff. And the guy, the customs guy, he was like, he's not interrogating me, but while people are inside the trailer, he's like, "You got any guns? No. You got any ammo? No. Blah, blah, blah." And he's like, and I had a jiu-jitsu shirt on. And he goes, "Oh, you do jiu-jitsu?" I was like, "Yeah, I own a school." And he's like, oh, when's the best time to start jiu-jitsu?
Right now.
And well, he said, I've got a kid and I want to get him in jiu-jitsu. When's the best time to start? And I said, well, how old is he? Perfect. I didn't let him answer.
Yeah.
But we have a program where as long as your kid's potty trained,
yeah,
like we'll get them on the mat. We have 2 days a week for toddlers.
Yeah.
And where mostly it's games, right? They're playing. Like today, Skylar's doing the toddler program.
Yeah.
And he's my unsung hero. I love that guy. He's been money in the bank, dude. He's been so supportive. But
and he owns a chocolate company.
He does. Yeah. This guy, Sky the chocolate guy
I was rolling
on Instagram
him a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "You smell like chocolate."
Yeah, he does like those the skewers. What do they call those? Kebabs. Yeah, and it's like strawberries and chocolate and brownie and stuff like that.
Yeah, not my style.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, but he had the kids he was teaching them how to ride the Swiss ball.
Oh yeah.
And they're learning body control. They're learning sprawls. They're learning they don't know that they're learning that, right? But he's incorporating a game.
That's one of the the funny thing is it's such a good lesson because it's one of the toughest things to teach a white belt is don't just fall over.
Don't fall over. Yes.
Stay
Yeah.
on top. Just because someone pushes you backwards doesn't mean you have to fall over backwards.
Yeah.
It's ride it out. Stay on top.
Yeah. When he did that, I was like, that's brilliant. That was really good.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have a lot of kids in the class today, but, what we do is if the kids come in on Tuesday and they do well.
Yeah.
And then they come in on Thursday and they do well, we have a basket of these little $1 toys. They get a toy, so they're amped up to get their toy. So they're listening to Skylar.
Trash, and they love it though.
It's actually cool, man. I actually was playing with some of it. It's actually pretty neat. It has little fidget things, and then some. It's like a big ball of chalk. Yeah. They get a big. It's like a crayon, not a crayon, but it's like a I don't know how to
a jawbreaker, but it's chalk.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and they can they take it home. They can do whatever the hell they want at home. We got. One of them
thanks.
Yeah, one of them are they call them bath crayons. So you're in the bathroom, you can kind of color in the
but
in
it
the
just
tub.
rinses off.
Yeah, it rinses right off. So it's kind of cool. But the kids are they're so into that stuff. So it's really cool. So then at 4 years old, they get to the top end of that, and then when they turn 5, they graduate to the regular kids class, and then they move. That's kind of neat, right? They move on, and then. I've got a couple of kids that are starting to graduate to the adult class now from the kids class. So that's kind of cool.
It's always a weird, at what point
the tweeners? Yeah, the tweeners are weird, man, because they're 12, 13. They're too big for the little guys and they're too small for the big. Yeah, so.
Because you don't want them to just get smashed. But then at some point in that little point where even when they're smaller, they're so athletic.
Yeah.
That they can still handle the adults.
Yeah. I got a kid, Anthony. Anthony is
You have a kid, Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's barely a kid now.
How old is he?
He's 16, but he is an animal.
He's fucking
an animal.
Yeah. I was he's not an adult.
No, but Anthony is 15 and he's undersized, but he is game. He is down, dude. He just rolls as hard as he can, and he's got a giant smile on his face, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
But you know what I mean? It's those. It's so tough because I remember being maybe a blue belt and what's his name's son?
The guy.
His name is Jordan. The kid was Jordan.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Dave.
No. Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes.
Yeah. Jordan was a beast.
And he was just a little orange belt.
Yep.
And he was a handful.
Yep.
Because he was just becoming growing through puberty, becoming a man.
Yeah.
Right? But he was 14 or 15 or something.
Yeah. Did you hear that bing?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It's your phone.
No, it wasn't my phone.
Did your shit just break?
No, I don't think so. I've never seen that little flag up there before. Let me see.
You'll have to talk to Josh about it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Anyway, sorry. So anyway, Jordan was a beast, man. He was rolling like a grown up at a very young age.
Or a good example, Damien Hasakawa. Remember when that kid was growing up?
He was so cute.
Yeah.
I remember him as a yellow belt.
Now he's an adult shithead. Shithead brown belt.
Brown belt, man. Yeah. He's a tough kid.
He's come so far too. His fucking technique now is sharp.
Yeah.
I watched him this weekend. He was very impressive.
It's hard to believe he was a blue belt 3 years ago?
Seems like it. I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
I mean, he was a purple belt for a good amount of time, but
yeah,
he just got his brown belt and he's right where he needs to be.
Yeah.
He's right where he needs to be, man. He's really good.
Didn't he medaled at Worlds, right? Did he medal?
I don't know.
I think he medaled.
You'll have to ask him. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so good. He was always good. I mean, he lost a couple times. It was so funny, man, because I watch him as an adult, quote unquote, right? Yeah. I mean, he's still I guess he's an adult. But I watch him. Yeah, I watch him now, and he's very mature, because man, jiu-jitsu just does that for kids, man. Like, you take so many losses, you know what I mean? And they're frustrating, and they cry. Yeah. And then it just kind of prepares you for.
I can't remember who I was talking to when I was like growing up in jiu-jitsu or whatever. Growing up, I was like, they started when I was 25. Yeah. But I remember like someone was like, dude, watching the kids, it's like, win or lose, they're gonna cry.
Yes.
And it's like, it's so true. It's just like they put all of their heart and soul into it, and it's just like they win, they're just like all that emotion dump, and they cry. Yeah. They lose, they're really upset with themselves, they cry. Like,
that's part of it. Yeah.
Those kids just like they put it all in.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think it's there's a lot of value to taking that loss while you're growing up.
Oh, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like all kids should do it.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't believe there's people who think the whole like everyone should get a medal thing is like
that was my generation of parents right there. We did that. Yeah, we did that. Yeah. We started putting helmets on kids, and not that I'm against that, but we were the ones that did it.
Keep them safe, but they need to learn to lose.
Dude, do you know how many times I rode a bench as a kid? I didn't play.
Yeah.
I didn't play because you know what? I wasn't good. Mm-hmm. And the coach egotistical or not, he's not going to let me lose the game for him.
I mean, here's a life lesson for people. Like, when you're applying for a job, any job, doesn't fucking matter, right? Whatever industry you're in, I hear this all the time. People will read like the requirements for a job, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not qualified." It's like, I got news for you. None of the people that apply are actually qualified.
Yeah,
and also none of the hiring people give a fuck what's on that paper.
Nobody cares.
It's like if you see a job and you think that it's something you might want to do, you will fucking do that job and you will learn. Like, there's nothing in most careers, right? Like, sans like being like a doctor or something, right?
Of course.
Where there's like technical
engineer stuff,
where there's technical stuff you need to learn.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, those are just fucking check boxes that like corporate made up.
Yeah.
Right. Go apply for that job, and it's just like in jiu-jitsu, it's like you got to learn to like, just because you lost doesn't mean you're not succeeding.
Right.
Right. And I hate that. Like, you either win or you learn. Like, it's such a cliche, but like, just fucking.
There's a lot of truth to it.
Go put yourself out there. Like, who cares? Like, yeah, there's going to be jobs that you apply for, and maybe you were qualified for. Like, you checked every box and you didn't get the job. And then there's jobs where you go and you didn't check every box, and then you did get the job.
Yeah.
The difference is like you're the one that went and put yourself out there, and you sold yourself with confidence. Like, you just got to go out there and do that.
That's a great point, man. That really is a great point. I'll tell you a quick story. I worked with a guy years ago. He's still at that company. I think he's still at the company. He hasn't retired yet. But at the time, he was a service manager. Mm-hmm. And his name's Mike. So Mike was interviewing because they're constantly bringing in new blood, right? Because it's a service business, and they had a great training program. So if you were a kid that went to like AC school, and you wanted a job with a big company, they'd give you a shot, and they train you, and you start off like there's an apprenticeship program that they had. It was really well structured.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mike's in charge of like bringing in the new blood. So he has a interview day, right? And all these people come in for their interviews, and he's going through resumes and stuff like that, and he knows they're not qualified. He knows they're fresh out of school, most of them, and the qualified guys get right into a truck and they just go to work, right? These are the apprentices, and Mike Mike wore his feelings on his sleeve. He still does. And I see him walking. So we had a giant entryway. And he's walking across the entryway. And he is red. He's a very pale person. He's red. And I was like, hey, Mike, how are the interviews going? And he goes, he's grabbing his forehead. He's like, Alex, you wouldn't believe this. He goes, this kid brought his parents to his interview.
Oh, no.
Brought the parents. And he's trying to conduct this interview because you got to interview everybody. Yeah. It's an HR thing, right? So he's interviewing this kid, and the parents are answering questions. And finally...
Wait, they're in on the interview?
They're in the interview. He brought his parents to the interview.
He didn't... I feel like I'd be like, yeah, just him.
Right. Yeah. So, they're asking about like benefits, and they're asking all the pertinent stuff. This is not the type of company that's going to screw you. You know what I mean? Everybody gets the same benefits. As long as you show up to work, you're going to get taken care of, right? Yeah. And so I asked Mike, I was like, hey, did you hire the kid? He's like, fuck, no, I didn't hire the kid. Yeah. Can you imagine the nightmare? The nightmare of like the parents being involved. Are the parents
coming to work with him?
Right. Yeah. Or if the kid wants to take a vacation that goes over the vacation time, or the vacation isn't like available, right? Because sometimes if you're on call, your ass is working. Yeah. Right. Can you imagine dealing with the parents? Bro.
Yeah, like I've always like not always. I learned this quickly though, that like let the company decide if you're qualified.
Yeah.
Don't make that decision yourself. And don't even let a piece of paper tell you that you're not qualified.
Yeah.
Because I've always looked at like, okay, I need to do A, B, and C. I'm like, there's nothing on this list that I can't fucking learn.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And too many people are like, yeah, but I don't know how to do that now. It's like, I guarantee you half the people they hire don't fucking know how to do that.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There's people out there that will give you the advice of like fake it till you make it. That is the worst fucking advice you'll ever get. Don't be afraid to look stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Just make
100%.
Make sure your questions get better over the years. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll tell you another stupid story. So when I was getting out of the Navy, they put you through this like training program. They teach you how to like interview. They teach you how to dress and all this shit. Like you're transitioning, right? So it's only 2 weeks and it's not great, but you start working with all these headhunters because you're in a pool of people that can be taught shit, right? So my headhunter calls me and he goes, hey, I need you to come in. We got to clean up your resume. I got a guy coming in tomorrow to do interviews, and I want you to be in on this. I think it'd be good for you. I'm like, yeah, cool. And the guy that interviewed me is a guy named Bill Thompson. Still a great friend of mine. He cool dude, ex-Army. So he was really big on hiring, veterans. Yeah. So anyway, so I go and we clean up the resume, and Bill flew into Virginia Beach, and I met him at his at the place, and we're this little conference room, and we're gonna have the interview. On my way to the interview, now this is like the year is like 1999 or 2000, like right at the very beginning. And I didn't have a cell phone.
That was 23 years ago.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't have a cell phone. So I pull over and I call my buddy, my buddy Dave. He was my first class petty officer at my duty station, and he was my boss. And I called him up and I was like, hey man, I'm on my way to meet with this guy. It's an HVAC company. And he's like, okay. I was like, what does that stand for? He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. But I went in there and I talked to the guy, and I got the job, and that's just because like, I don't know. I don't know why I got the job. I was not qualified. But at the time, it was all timing, really. At the time, that company was hiring people to bring them in, and they had like a 6-month training program that was like really intense.
I want to know how many people just Googled what does HVAC stand for.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I had no idea. But and that's the industry I was in for 20 years, right? Up until I started.
That's how my industry is. It's like it's full of fucking acronyms, and like a lot of people are just like, I don't know, this. And then you ask them like, what does that stand for? And they're like, I don't know. Right? Nobody fucking knows.
Nobody fucking knows.
But I mean, like, but what that is like, so, bringing it back to jiu-jitsu, it's like learning to like that's what tournaments teach people. Is like, you have to go put yourself out there. Yeah. Win or lose, like you're learning something about yourself, And you're learning that you can lose and it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Or you win.
Yeah.
And then it's on to the next one.
And you can't care about what other people think about your result.
Right.
You can't care. Like, I've lost several matches.
Can you name an athlete that hasn't ever lost?
No. That's what makes them so good.
Yeah.
That's what makes them like you. That's what makes you know their name.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There was a
Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan. Yeah.
He's never lost.
No, he's lost. But I like to use the mentality of like what they call it a defensive back mentality, and they someone explained it this way: you got to have a goldfish mind. A goldfish will look at you and forget you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're a defensive back and you get blown out, forget it.
Yeah.
That play's over. You just keep moving, and that's kind of the mindset that I go in with.
Yeah.
Like, if I lose, it's out of my brain. Yeah, I'm pissed for the moment, but then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, and I want that fight back. You know, dude, the ones that I've lost are ingrained. I can't even remember the ones I won.
Yeah, the athletes that don't succeed are the ones that dwell.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, I always took something out of my losses. You know, the win or learn.
But there's a constructive way to do that, and there's a destructive way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. The constructive way is, okay, so did I follow my routine that day? Right? Was I able to listen? Was I able to hear my coach? Was I distracted? Right? All those things come into play. And when you learn,
being objective.
Yeah. Being objective is really important, man.
Yeah.
Because a loss is a loss, man. And it sucks, but you can always get something out of it. Mm-hmm. And, you know,
again, you win or you learn.
Yeah.
It's a cliche. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think you win. You learn from wins also. If you're smart,
yeah,
if you're a smart athlete.
Yeah. But the winning from or learning from winning is like, okay, so what time did you get up? You know, what music were you listening to? What did you eat? Like, what was your routine? And if you follow that, there's like a success pattern. Right?
So I think of it like eating like pizza or cake.
Yeah.
Where like you're winning, right? Because it's like fucking, the mouth pleasure is great. Like, it's fucking good.
Yeah.
But there's always like that little bit of like, but it hurt my stomach later.
Yeah.
Right? But you forget about that.
Yeah.
You forget about that because you remember how good it felt. Like, there's no perfect match, right?
Yeah.
There's always something that you could take out of a match, and you have to be objective. Like, you can't just be like, I beat the shit out of that guy, 20-0.
Yeah. So what?
So what?
Yeah.
There's definitely like, well, what about that time where you could have submitted him?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you were too conservative or whatever. There's always something like that you can take out of a match.
Yeah. You know what I saw this past weekend? When was it? Last weekend? When the tournament?
Yeah.
Last weekend? Mm-hmm. I saw people get up by like a couple of points early and then try to stall out for like several minutes.
Yeah.
Such a bad mistake, man. Mm-hmm. And they all lost. Everyone that I saw lost. Man, like, I'm not saying
5 minutes or 6 minutes or 10 minutes is a long time.
It's a long fucking time, dude. And I'm sitting there watching them like trying to manage the match, and I'm like, you're gonna fucking lose.
Yeah,
you're gonna fucking lose.
I mean, all right. I mean, I'm gonna throw Jarrell under the bus here.
Jarrell
was
how
losing.
Dare you?
Jarrell was losing.
Yeah.
Right? But that's a good lesson for Mark. It's a good lesson for Jarrell. It's a good, because Jarrell won, but like, he didn't quit.
Right.
Yep. And you can be down in points and still win. You can be up in points and still lose.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people forget. Like you said, they think like, oh, I passed his guard, I mounted him, now I'm gonna fucking stall.
Yeah.
All he has to do is escape and submit you.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 strikes and you're not out. There's still one more thing you can do.
Yeah.
And that's what Jarrell, I guess that's a good lesson.
He found that foot. He found that foot. He was down. He's definitely down in points.
Yeah.
He found that foot and fucking took it home.
That's awesome.
And that's something that a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah.
Like, they think like, and a lot of people like kind of fold under that pressure of points, which I understand, right? Especially when you're playing IBJJF rules, it's very point heavy.
Yeah.
But
it's very tactic heavy, I guess. Like play within the rule set kind of thing. That's why the outliers are the ones that win in spectacular fashion.
Sure.
They're the outliers.
Yeah.
So that's important to know. But yeah, Jarrell did a great job, man. I mean, like you said, he never quit fighting.
Yeah, it's never over until the ref stops you.
What was the do you know how much time was left when he got the sub?
It was definitely towards the end. I don't know exactly.
It was early. It was quick. I mean, it was I'm sorry, not early, but it was late in the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah, he was definitely like Mark was winning. Mark was playing the better game.
Yeah.
If I was to give you my honest opinion, Mark was playing the better jiu-jitsu.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? He was up on points, and that's kind of like
that's what the points are supposed to reflect, right?
Yeah.
But if you get in that position where you're up in points and you start getting complacent, then you get submitted.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, or cocky or whatever the case may be, he left his leg open or left his foot open and Jarrell capitalized.
Yeah. That's a good lesson for Jarrell.
Or both.
Both of them. Yeah, both of them. I mean, you can't get complacent and you can't give up.
Yeah.
Those are two great lessons, man.
I mean, like, I remember being a white belt. One of my favorite submissions as a white belt was a baseball bat choke.
I remember that. Bat choke I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
A baseball bat choke is like, I'm going to let you pass my guard, which is a fucking awful idea. I don't want anybody to take this advice. Yeah. Do not let people pass your guard. But you would let someone pass your guard for the potential to submit them.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just because you lose like the battle of whatever position you were fighting for, like in that case, like maybe you're fighting for half guard.
Yeah.
But you get your grips. You lose the half guard position to side control, but then you can submit that person. Yeah. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, I got put to sleep in training with a baseball bat choke. So
I've put a couple of people to sleep.
Yeah,
with baseball
it's effective, man.
Yeah.
It's effective.
It's a strong submission, and it's that's very kamikaze submission.
That's a very good way to put it.
Like unless you're from the top, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I remember I passed the guard, and just the nature of the baseball bat, right? You're almost flat.
Yeah.
Right? You're almost flat and your arms are extended. And I remember I'm like thinking, I've got the arm, and then I woke up. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
It was that quick. Yeah.
I remember
it came on quick.
I put Daniel Rodriguez to sleep once, and it was like very much like he had mounted me.
Oh.
He had mounted me.
That's scary.
And then he woke up. And he's like, he was like, I mounted you.
You sure did, pal.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, funny. Like that's a thing. It's like, I think it's a valuable lesson. Those submissions. It's like, first of all, I don't want anybody building their game off of a baseball bat choke. But like, it's a valuable lesson to learn. Is like, you can be like in a bad position. That doesn't mean you quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of like the cool things that you learn in jiu-jitsu is like you can be down in points. Like, yeah. Significantly down in points and still win.
100%. 100%.
Right? Any combat sport is really like that, honestly.
Yeah, if you're willing to take that risk. You know, one thing that I do that I'm trying to get away from is like I'm trying to do this in training. Like I know I'm down, right? I know I'm down on points, and then just going for the sub, regardless of like giving up the guard pass, giving up the mount, giving up like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like get my mindset so that you know when you're. It's really difficult because we all train this way, right? We all train like, no, I can't do this because he's going to pass my guard. Well, you're down on points anyway. Who gives a shit, right? Just go for it.
What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get submitted?
You're going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit here in that position and you're going to lose anyway. Yeah. Why not just lose in spectacular fashion?
I talk to a lot of my like first or second time or people who are nervous about competing. And it's like, just train the same way you roll in a match, like in class. I mean, like it's just like, what's the point of like going to a tournament and then just getting like, I'm gonna get in a closed guard and I'm just gonna hold him here.
Yeah,
like that's not how you roll in class.
That's not.
Not how you win. Right? That's not how you train. It's completely different. But like, how many people have you seen who are like really dynamic and fluid in class, and then they go to a tournament and they're fucking a rock?
Yes. And they're like a totally different person.
Totally different person.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the most common reactions to competition.
It's so frustrating.
They just get really conservative. And I was talking to Nick Naw about this because Nick Naw and I talk about like philosophy of competition. And it's like my only goal right now, like, because I was telling him like, I'm going to do New Orleans, which is like the first like real black belt tournament I've done.
No shit.
I did one, but I was basically on my way down to featherweight, and I had to go up to lightweight. So I right. It's nice that I'm going to get to do featherweight with featherweights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I consider it my first. But anyways, I was telling him, like, my goal is to go out there and like roll like I roll in class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want because I've done it before where you go into a tournament and you're like, you have this game plan and you just lock up because you're like, I don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to give this guy this. And it's like, no, I'm going to go out there and we're going to get fucking dynamic and we're going to have fun.
100%.
Because who gives a fuck?
Who cares?
Yeah.
You're in New Orleans. You're there to party anyway.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, but that's the way you train.
Yeah.
That's the way you should compete.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like what it doesn't make any sense to train like very fluidly and dynamically and like moving and looking for submissions and then going to a tournament and then not playing that same style. Yeah, right. If you're going to play that way, like in class, that makes sense.
Right.
Like if you're trying to play
like super slow, you know, very
methodical.
Yeah.
Play or train the way you compete the way you train.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put that on a shirt.
I find myself, no shit. I find myself like when I drill dynamic positions. Mm-hmm. And when I roll, it's very much close guard, scissor sweep, you know, very basic. Like, and that's kind of the way I have to. That's kind of I think that's the way I have to drill because I mean that's the way I roll. I don't know why.
It's one of the more common things you see. And so one of our white belts, Josiah, was like, he went out there and he fucking rolled just like the way he rolled in class. So cool. And I was like, and he fucking dominated.
Yeah,
and
that's like, so much fun to watch.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
like and you're more successful because it's just your body knows what to do.
Yeah.
But when you like go put it into lockdown mode, your body's like, I can hold. I guess I'll just hold it here.
Do you have any students? You don't have to put them on blast, but do you have any students that you're watching and you're like, man, you just refuse to go to that next level? You just refuse to open up and just go for it. I've got a couple. And
I mean,
you guys piss me off.
you know,
I love you guys, but
the biggest thing I notice with white belts is they're so afraid to make mistakes.
Do you yeah.
You know?
That's a big thing. Yeah.
Because it's so easy, especially when they're rolling with like upper belts.
Yeah. Do you encourage them to screw up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I encourage them to screw up big.
And then one of the biggest things is like I like to highlight the fact that like you should lose. Like if you're a white belt and you're rolling with like, you know, one of our purple belts or one of our even blue belts or maybe a 4-stripe white belt or whatever, it's like they should beat you.
You're kind of supposed to lose, yeah.
Yeah, so who cares?
Fuck yeah. That's a great point, man. That's great advice.
Because like if you're not putting your like again, this goes back to like we were talking about like with applying for jobs. If you're not trying to like learn stuff, you're not trying to like, well, let's go see if this works.
Yeah.
Like I do that all the time, especially when I'm rolling with like a blue belt or a purple belt or a brown belt. I'm like, let's see if this fucking works.
Yeah.
You know, if you get submitted, who cares?
Yeah.
It's class. That's what you're supposed to do in class.
Yeah.
Make mistakes in class, not in tournaments.
Right.
Right. That's the goal.
And that's why, you know, and I really feel like I need to like change some of my vocabulary to instead of jiu-jitsu training, like jiu-jitsu practice.
Yeah.
Because like when you think about it as training, I feel like it kind of switches your mind to like, okay, I have to be perfect.
Yeah.
When you talk about practice, then you're like, okay, this is the time to screw up.
Yeah.
Right. This is the time to play with things. So I think jiu-jitsu practice is a better way to communicate what we're supposed to be doing because we're supposed to be practicing, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be practicing mindset, supposed to be practicing position, supposed to be practicing control, supposed to be practicing a lot of different things so that when you go into the tournament, now that's game time.
Yeah.
Right. Practice is over. Right. And I think, man, I have to remember to let people know that, hey, this is why we call it practice.
Yeah.
But do we really? We don't.
No.
Right.
I mean, I do a lot. Like one of the things that I like to do is like, I like to reinforce the fact that like, all right, you made that mistake. Like if I'm like playing half guard or something and someone brings their arm to the inside and I fucking just get that easy sweep because they like put all their weight on one side and now I get my hips underneath you and I sweep you. It's like, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah.
You know, like I like to point out like their mistakes when I roll with like, especially with my white and blue belts, right? Like you tried something, it didn't work. it's not enough to know that like what you did didn't work.
Yeah.
You have to know why.
Yeah.
And I think it's important as even if you're a purple belt or brown belt, like when you're rolling with like a white or a blue belt, or even like even one of your peers who makes a mistake, sometimes you don't know why you fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point.
It's really important for someone to be like, if you know, if you're just making it up, there's no point. Be like,
right.
I don't know what I fucking did, but that fucking worked.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah.
I've definitely like been in positions where I was like, yeah, I came out on top. I don't know how I did. Like even now, right?
Yeah. You know, I was actually talking about that today in the fundamentals class, and we were talking about, you know, position before submission. That's a biggest cliche, but it's so true. But
for losers.
But there's a little caveat to that. And the caveat is there's that setup to the submission.
Yeah.
So so a lot of people focus on perfecting the position or getting as good as you can.
Right.
And then they talk about getting as good as you can or perfecting the sub. But, you know, I was telling them, like, if you guys train long enough with me, I might teach you like 8 submissions total, you know, maybe 6, 8, but I'll show you 100 setups.
Right.
Right. And the better your setup, the more, the higher percentage of finish you'll get. Right. So really our focus should really be in the setup.
Yeah.
Right. Position, of course, submission, of course, but the setup is so critical. Right. And if you just overlook that, and what I mean by overlook is like, okay, so I got in position and then I screwed up the arm bar. Okay. So did you isolate the elbow by squeezing with your knees? Did you have control of the head and the shoulders?
Or like creating reactions?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, creating reactions. But then that comes all in the setup as well. But when somebody says, oh yeah, I screwed up the arm bar. Okay, but you can't dissect what they did or didn't do unless they can articulate the setup.
Right.
Right. And that's where but that's what I was telling them. Like, I'll teach you 100 setups, but it's only like 8 subs.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, really. And
being willing to like not like the one thing that I like to try to like hammer home with like a lot of my newer people in the morning class is like, don't get locked in on like, say like you're looking for this like straight arm lock from like mount or whatever it is. Right. Don't get locked in on that. Like if they like turn over, okay, cool. They just turned over and they exposed their back. Take their back.
Yeah. So tunnel vision.
Yeah, the tunnel vision thing.
Yeah, that's the
which
thing.
is so easy to get locked in into.
Yeah.
It's like the more willing you are to be fluid and change with whatever your partner's giving you, the better.
Yeah, and that's a really big teaching moment, right? When somebody goes, well, it looks like I can just do this. And I'm always like, oh, come here and show me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like they'll do it and then I'll put them in a different position. And that's when you kind of tell them.
They fall apart. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get
You have
television.
to be willing to like, okay, well, that would have worked, but now we're in a different position. And now I have to change my tactic.
Yeah. So I always tell them, like, whenever I get that what if question, I hate them, but what if question, right? I'll talk about the tunnel vision, go into a different position, maybe even sub them, you know what I mean? Or get them in a position where they could be subbed. And then I'll be like, if you want to learn this stuff, come to the mixed levels class when you're done with fundies.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the thing about what ifs is like, there's a what if for literally every position.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not teaching you the what if.
Right.
I'm teaching you what if it worked.
Yeah. Right.
Right
Yes.
now.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing to learn as a training partner.
Yeah.
Right. You and I have drilled together enough that we can kind of feel each other out. Right. We know our bodies. I'm bigger than you are, so it's going to be a different kind of feel.
Lot.
I'm about 30 pounds. But the people that are just getting to know each other, that's really difficult for them because you might have somebody that's resisting so much that you're like, hey, you're dance partners. Right? Don't make your dance partner look bad.
Like those brand new like white belts who just want to resist when you're just doing technique.
I've got white belts that have been with me for a year and a half that still do that. And I'm like, bro, you're not helping your partner get better. This is your job.
Give them 20%. Fucking like that's it. You don't need to like be resisting. We're not trying to win right now.
I had a brand new guy, like maybe first or second class, and he asked a great question. He goes, "How much resistance should I give him?"
Yeah, it's a great question.
And I told him, how much resistance does it take for you to walk across the room? Just enough to hold your posture, right? That's all you got to give them. Yep. Just enough to hold your posture.
That's a good way to put that too.
Yeah.
It's a good way to qualify that because like 20%, 30%, 40%, that doesn't fucking mean anything.
Mean anything. But stand up, walk across the room. How much resistance, right? You're not bending at the waist. You're not flopping over. You're holding your body up. That's all I'm doing.
We're learning mechanics right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I hope that drove the point home, but we'll see. Time will tell.
That's a really good way to put that.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I like that a lot because it's true because like you always want to be like, all right, guys, we're just going 50% right now. Yeah. Like 50% of what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody that's been doing it as long as you have, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. You know what 100% feels like, and you can scale it back. Yeah. Right? Just enough for that son of a bitch to do the move. Yeah. Right? That's like 60%.
I mean,
50%.
and to be fair, you don't want the limp fish because that doesn't help you either.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love showing that as well when we're doing a move, and I'm like, is it even feasible that I would do this when they're doing the move? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, enough resistance to carry yourself across the room. That's as much resistance you should give your training partner. So
yeah, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time where like they either, especially with like brand new white belts, either are a limp fish or they give you zero resistance, which is useless because this isn't how a person's going to move.
Yeah.
Or they give you too much resistance and you're like, I'm still trying to learn the mechanics of this position.
Yeah.
This move.
Yeah. And I think the benefit that we had was we had a bunch of people
trying to kill us.
Yes. Well, that, and we had a bunch of people that were competitors and were just trying to get better. So they wanted to get the rep after rep after rep after rep. And you can't resist that much all the time.
One of the coolest things, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I've mentioned this before. One of the coolest things I remember, like maybe I was a white belt, maybe a blue belt. I remember Brandon Walker's like, I want to roll with you because you understand De La Riva.
And you're like, really?
What? I was like, say what? And he would have been like a blue belt or a purple belt.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing that and I'm like, that felt really good. Like, because like that's what you want from your partners. Like if you like say you're like you're trying, like you have something in particular like passing half guard. You want to practice that on someone who understands that position.
Yeah.
Because if you're rolling with a guy who has no idea how to like maintain half guard, you're not learning to pass half guard. You're learning to pass a fucking limp noodle.
Yeah. Some of the best advice I got along those terms or along those lines was when I rolled with Q. It was a no-gi round at his place. And he said, when I go to your right, I get a lot of resistance. When I go to your left, I just pass. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to work my left.
Yeah.
And that helped me a ton because I didn't know that weakness.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously he's Q. He's a wizard. Like he can pass my guard whenever he wants. But that was great advice.
Which is like, that brings up a whole nother thing about like training both sides.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what your opinion is. I don't think necessarily like I need to know how to do De La Riva on both sides, but I need to have an answer for open guard on both sides.
So I decided, I shouldn't say I decided. I was kind of forced to because I had a really bad groin injury and I broke my foot. 2 different injuries that forced me to play my weak side, quote unquote weak side.
Yeah.
So I was able to do moves on both sides. Now, when I teach, I think nobody wants to move like, hey guys, everybody come to this side of the room. Everybody go to this side of the room. So I'll show the technique to one side and then I'll show the technique to the other. So it helps me work both sides.
Right.
I think I think everyone, I always mess with the class when I'm showing a technique and I'll let them, just switch on their own. And I'm like, all right, now do the other side, cheaters. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny, but it's true. Most people will only work.
I like to tease, like, because like some, like when you have your like uki and they don't know how to like, they're like, which side do you want me to go?
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. I'm gonna do this technique perfectly on both sides. Even though in your mind you're like, fuck
yeah. But have you ever done a technique on your quote unquote weak side and then you're like, wow, that was really good?
Better.
Yeah.
It's because you're more thinking about like the movements.
Maybe your expectations are lower.
Maybe, yeah. Like it's actually trash.
Yeah. But what's funny, I have a 1 o'clock class that I teach, my fundamentals class, and it's all white belts. So I grab somebody out of the crowd and, working with them. And they get so tense, when they're being the uki. And I'll be like, I'll start showing the move and I can feel them tense up. And I'm like, I'll just hug them like, hey, I'm not going to hurt you. Just nice and relaxed, buddy.
Well, I mean, think about the time where it's like, yeah, they might react this way. And you're like, do this. And they're like, what? What do I need to do?
Yeah. Bring your right foot here. No, that's your left.
Which you see all the time. Like anytime someone's like, you see it at seminars, you see it at like, anytime like the instructor or whoever is working with an uki that isn't really familiar with like their style of teaching.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're like, this opponent could, react this way. And you're like, what do you want me? What do you want me to do it? Do you don't want me to do it?
Yeah. That was me early on when I was,
and it's like that, like the whole like dance partner thing that you're talking about. It's like, you got to know how to like, your instructor is going to lead, obviously.
Yes.
And how to follow their lead. You know?
And in their defense, they don't understand the end result. Right. So they don't know quite how it's going to go. So they're like, oh shit, Yeah. But, after a while, you kind of loosen up, and hopefully they carry on that lesson and teach it to other people. Yeah. Like,
it's usually like, it's all in good fun. It's like usually humorous, but like, I think a good uke is actually like a skill in itself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, it's almost like you want a black belt as your uke, because you're like, yeah, they could react this way. And that guy's like, yeah, this is how I'd react.
You want somebody who understands enough to know that, hey, you're about to put me to sleep. So you're just like, hey.
Mm-hmm. or some guy who's not going to resist too much.
Because I put an uke to sleep. That's fucked. I hate that. Joel, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's Joel's fault.
No, but I'm holding and I'm talking.
Is it a triangle?
No, it was just a gi choke. And I'm holding and I'm talking, but I didn't think I had tight. And then I'm like, oh, I let go. I'm like, did you fall asleep? And he's up. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, did you fall asleep? I was so mad at myself.
You son of a bitch.
I was so mad at myself, man. But he's just that guy. He's such a good dude.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude. So supportive. But I'm so sorry, Joel. But anyway, I forgot what we were talking about. Ukis.
Yeah.
But the first time I got called out to be an uke, I was so nervous. So I understand that.
Do you remember being like, when you first started and you're like, being the uke was like a big deal? Like,
it was a big deal. Cool. But you know what helped me? It's like Dave Barnes was teaching the fundies class. And then he and I would come in on weekends and work on what he wanted to teach. So I kind of knew what he was going to do, and that helps. When you come in cold on a new technique, that's hard to be an uke, dude. Especially if you've never seen it before. Right. It's really difficult. Yeah, bring your foot here. What are you talking?
So I mean, it definitely helps. Like, so like I think it's tough. Like when you teach a class where you don't have consistent students.
Yeah.
But like for the evening class, like at Paul's, like I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Thursday when we have like all of like, that's when our main instruction happens. And I'm like, so I'm always the uke, so I always know what Paul's looking for.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like, maybe I show up on Thursday and then like, next week I don't show up at all. And then like, when you're playing that like catch up game, like it's tough. And like you want your uke to be kind of like that guy who's there all the time.
Yeah.
Typically you want someone who's probably close to your size.
Yeah.
And a guy who's consistent.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
And it's just, you don't always get that, but like that's preferable, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't get that, you want at least someone who's pretty knowledgeable of generally the position that you're working.
Yeah. So I've got people that help me during class that have been with me for 3 years, and I've been teaching the same curriculum for 3 years, the same fundies curriculum. So they kind of know, they can anticipate what I'm gonna do, even like the day of the week, because I'll change some stuff up, but they get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that helps me a ton, man, a ton. Sierra's been amazing. Amy as well. Amy kind of can anticipate, like she can kind of feel like whether like I'm frustrated or I'm getting it or I'm just not on that day. Yeah. She can kind of move around and make me look way better than I actually am.
Yeah, so. and then there's a point, like as the instructor, like the what, like you're kind of, what you're doing is you're playing that what if game a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And you got to know like at what point you need to bail on that.
Yeah.
Like as the instructor, like, yeah, he could react this way, and maybe your uke doesn't know what to, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's not like, when is it like not really helping your instruction anymore?
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Which is kind of like, you got to, as the instructor, you got to like learn the give and take on that.
Yeah.
Like when are you investing too much in like having your uke act a particular way when you're trying to show something else?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, there's
something to that.
There's definitely a lot of back and forth. It's like, I think the dance metaphor is pretty apt. Like, you got to be able to, to do that dance, and sometimes your partner isn't, up to snuff on your dance, right?
Yeah. So rolling is kind of the same concept to me. Like you and I, our roles go pretty much, I hate to say the same, but like there are times when I get the better of you. There are times when you get the better of me, but we have this understanding, like we are going to roll more rounds tonight. So we're not going to hurt each other. We're not going to kill each other.
I feel like our rounds are more like, let's just fuck around.
Yeah, let's fuck around a little bit.
Yeah.
But in that fucking around, I feel like we learn from each other really well. Ko and I have been training together for a long time, and he and I, we always start from the seated position, and it's a very technical way to the top.
Yeah.
You're right. So it's not only does it help with the wear and tear on the body, but it helps you understand like, hey, this is like methodical is better.
Yeah.
Dynamic, it's good. It kind of looks cool, but I think methodical is way better.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So, I think, but that's the kind of information I'm trying to pass along. It's hard to pass along to a white belt, right? Because they don't understand.
Especially a young athletic one.
Well, and they don't understand positions well enough to say, oh, I pan here and do this. They're just trying to get to the top, right? But when you got a blue belt who's still doing that, I kind of tell them, like, I can roll with Koa 20 times tonight, and I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because it's more technical than it is athletic or dynamic. Yeah. And I think it's important for people to learn how to do that. There are times to be dynamic, but it's not every time.
And that's the thing too, like that being methodical part is going to go way farther.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so like, say like, for example, when I roll with Nick Naw, we get wild sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It gets a little heated.
We both have an understanding of like the positions that we're playing with. Right. But like as a white belt, you don't.
Right.
So you see a black belt, a couple black belts, brown belt, black belt, a couple brown belts rolling together, and you're like, ooh, they're getting fucking after it. And like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But you don't understand the positions the same.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Right? So it's like you got to learn to walk before you can run or get fucking wild.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you know what? The funny thing is, like, when you have a brown belt or a black belt hard roll, if somebody gets injured, it's extremely it's accidental.
Yeah.
They're not trying to hurt each other.
And it's almost always the person who is doing the technique that got hurt.
Right.
They hurt themselves, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a freak accident.
Yeah.
It's very rarely that like, oh, I tried to armbar you and I pulled too hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nothing. It's when what's too far on your arm, and I know when I don't need to be pulling anymore.
Yeah. That Matrix thing went away, huh?
I still use it.
Just do you different. Really?
Yeah,
you're out of your fucking mind.
I just learned how to use it.
So tonight I was rolling with Amber, and Amber, we were in 50-50, and I only do one thing in 50-50. I get the hell out of 50-50. But we're in 50-50, and she's driving pressure into me, and I stopped her. I pushed her knee, and I said, hey, this is how I blew my knee out the first time, like driving pressure in. And so I just said, be careful. Like, I can't tell you what to do, but just be careful. And I think those are lessons that we could pass along as well. Right, especially in a heated round, like a tough round, it's really important that we take care of ourselves.
Being dynamic and compromised positions is how I think experienced athletes get injured.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, being wild in general positions is how everyone gets injured.
Yeah,
but like once you become a black belt, you or brown belt even or purple, like at this point, like adult purple belts are just as good as a lot of black belts.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But I mean, when you're in like a very compromised position, 50-50 is a good example. The Matrix is a good example. A triangle is a good example.
Yeah.
Like where you're like putting a lot of torque on like on your knees.
Yeah.
Right. And you start to get real dynamic and you're trying to move someone around who doesn't want to fucking move.
Or when you're trying to overtake them and go from like a triangle to a mounted triangle.
Right.
That's a lot of torque on your knees. And the kids can get away with it because they're so pliable, like you said.
Yeah.
But adults, I should say mature adults, right? 35 plus, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, and that's part of that maturity, right? It's like learning, like, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Like sometimes it is.
Sometimes.
but you got to learn, like, am I forcing this too much, or is this going to be worth it?
Yeah, I still do stupid shit sometimes.
Of course, we all do, because it's fun.
Yeah, but in my defense, I know it's stupid as I'm doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But that's the thing. It's like, as an experienced grappler, you have, it's a hypothesis. It's an educated guess, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, I understand the risks.
My wrongness is based on a lot of information. That's all I got to say.
Right. But as like a white belt or maybe even a blue belt or purple belt, you're like, I'm just going to throw this out there because I've saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you don't fully understand, like, I'm actually compromising my knee.
Yeah.
Or I'm actually compromising my elbow or my shoulder or whatever it is, right? Yeah. Or maybe I'm going to break my fucking neck.
Yeah.
You know, because
that's a thing.
There's a lot of positions like that, you know, the whole fucking thing with the, what's his name?
Yeah. That was a bummer, man.
Yeah, but like that could happen in a lot because that's a legit technique. Like rolling over someone in turtle is a legit technique. Yeah. I remember that getting done to me as a white belt.
Yep.
It's a legit technique. But if you don't understand that, like if either your partner doesn't know and they post with their head, it's on their neck.
You know, I preach that quite a bit. I tell my students, don't trust your neck, don't trust your shoulders, don't trust your knees. They will let you down.
Yep.
Not every single time.
It's not if, it's when.
That's right. That's a great point. It's not if, it's when, and how bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you get away with murder though. Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
But do you want to always? You're not always going to get away with it.
You know, it's not so much that you get away. Yes, you do get away with murder, but it's not so much that you make that mistake yourself.
Yeah.
But let's say like for me, I was rolling with one of the kids. This is about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I hurt my neck. But I was rolling with a kid. I didn't want to land on him. So I posted on my head, right, to kind of stop myself. And then he came up and pushed me. So my body kind of went into like a C. Yeah. Like my C spine kind of bent. Yeah. And I had to stop the mat. I had to stop the roll. I was like, my neck is messed up right now. Like I felt my neck. I didn't pop, but it wasn't right. And that was like, it was a good 2 months of recovery because, man, it wasn't anything he did. Yeah. Right? It just, the situation.
We've all been there in like weird compromised positions. Maybe it's like I'm playing half guard and I come up for the underhook and he pushes my head to my belly button.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Which is like, that's not like a dangerous position.
Right.
But if when the right force is applied, that fucking hurts your neck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Then there's several little like just bullshit things that have happened to me. I was rolling with somebody where I was playing like a seated guard and I was tired. So I wasn't like at my best. But I sat back and I posted with my hand behind me on the mat, and he did something like dynamic to try to like jump over and get behind me. Well, he hyperextended my elbow because it was on the mat. That's on me. Yeah. Right? That's on me. I played a stupid position. Yeah. But at the time, it seemed like the thing to do. But, you know, obviously that wasn't a shoulder, neck, or knees, but it's still an elbow. It still sucked, right? But, yeah, you can't
all
trust.
Injuries suck.
Yeah.
I'm in getting wrist locked.
Yeah. But, I mean, holding an Americana or a Kimura just, you know, out of spite, no, you can't do that. Like, when your neck is torqued and it's not quite a choke, you got to tap, man. Tap. Yeah, and your knee bars, man, oh, my gosh. You just... You know, even if you're falling in an odd position where your knee is getting bent up, I mean, still tap, stop, you know, and hopefully the momentum is such that...
Hopefully you're rolling with someone who has the control.
Yeah. And you talk a lot about jiu-jitsu IQ. And I think that's really important to build that jiu-jitsu IQ. And that only comes with time and experience and time on the mat. I mean, you know, if you're rolling twice a week, you're probably going to hurt somebody at some point because you're not going to build that. You're not going to develop that jiu-jitsu IQ that you need. That someone like that rolls 4 days a week can develop.
Unfortunately, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing enough trial and making enough errors, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And like I mean, I like being in like, you know, I'll let someone like grab a hold of my ankle and like be like, all right, let's see. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't hurt. Like letting them get as far as they can, and like I'll defend a little bit, and like it's good to know where your limits are.
Yeah.
But you got to find that line, and you got to make sure that you don't go past it.
100%, man. 100%.
Which is it's not teachable.
Yeah, and your pride gets in the way, and the moment you're in that moment, and if you're rolling with any kind of emotion, you're probably going to end up getting hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not teachable. It's just like, fuck, man, like learn as soon as you can to get rid of that ego. Like, and that's something we talk about a lot, right? But it's just like, it is so important. If you want to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of your life, get fucking submitted by blue belts.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And that ego check is a constant thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I find myself being egotistical. And I'm like, okay, I gotta fix that shit. Yeah. Right. And if you're like, if your world is falling apart around your ears and you're starting to question yourself, start there. Yeah. Right. Start with your ego. You know, and you'll do some soul searching. You know what I mean? And it'll It'll help.
I love when like a blue belt fucking tries to wrap up a knee bar. Like, fuck yeah, let's play.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And like, if you get it, fuck yeah. Like, I'll even like, okay, yeah, keep working.
Yeah,
and there it is.
I got a blue belt that's been like really developing the leg game, and he's going to be dangerous when he gets his brown belt one day.
Yeah.
This kid George, young guy. I mean, he's shorter than you, I think, but he is insanely strong for a guy his size.
Yep.
He was a Marine, so he's tough, and he's fun to roll with, but it hurts.
Yeah.
Like I just keep my legs tucked under me. I don't let him get to him.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
It's fun to play with that as long as you guys have an understanding. Like, we're gonna play everything.
Yeah.
Like when I roll with Sierra, we're gonna play toe holds, knee bars.
It's on.
We're gonna have fun.
She's game too, man. She'll do it.
But she'll tap to like she's smart enough to know when she's in danger, like in like injury danger.
Yeah.
And if she gets a fucking knee bar, I'm gonna fucking tap. I don't care.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man. We get tapped out by lower belts because this shit works. Mm-hmm. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, that just means their technique was good.
Yeah, it just or you just got compromised and it just happened.
And let that be a lesson to all of you upper belts. Put yourself in bad positions.
Yeah,
because if you're not like, I could go to class every single day and never be in a bad position.
Right. Yeah.
But what do I learn from that?
Yeah. Gary Tonin is a great example of that. Someone said that there's a bunch of white belts out there talking about how well they did against Gary Tonin because he just puts himself in really bad positions and he works out of that.
Like I said, I love when like a blue belt wraps up an ankle lock because I'm like, fuck yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's play. Yeah. Let's play. Let me defend this. Like,
like,
but that's how you get better at bad positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, you got to be put in them.
Yeah.
And sometimes like, I don't want to say you're giving them submissions, but I mean, you kind of are.
Kind of are, yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I mean, they're taking the position, but I'm also like not fully defending to the point where like they can't get into the position. I want them to get into the knee bar, the toe hold, the ankle lock, the arm bar, triangle, whatever it is, because I want to practice fighting out of that.
Yeah.
Because if you're not practicing escaping bad submission or bad positions, what happens when someone who's good puts you in a bad position?
Yeah,
you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
You're absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, we've been going for almost 2 hours. It's 11 o'clock.
You're the one who wanted to do this after class.
This has been a great conversation, though, man. I'm kind of bummed that we're gonna stop it, but listen, thanks for doing this, and we'll have to do another one after you come back from New Orleans. I want to hear all about that.
Yeah, when I get gold.
Yeah,
double gold.
Yeah. Well, listen, everybody, if you love the podcast or if you hate the podcast, please leave us a review. Check us out on Instagram, the BJJ Foxcast. Check us out on YouTube. Website's still not up. Don't worry about that. But I want to give a shout out to JT's Curry Wagon. I want to give a shout out to Butter Smooth Moves or Butter Smooth Fight Club. They've got another tournament coming up really soon. Please check that out. And Control Physical Therapy. Thank you so much for keeping us, putting us together or keeping us put together or however you want to pull it, put it. And, we are unfortunately going to miss the Roll for Beer in San Diego, but check that out. Roll for Beer on Instagram. It's a fantastic thing, man. It's really cool.
And if you want to talk shit about anything we said today, please tag me at @just_Tojo.
Yeah,
I will play.
Hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate you doing it.
Of course.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.